Okay, guys, so welcome to the next lecture. It's like basically we're going to start with the whole presence of graphic design and what it means, because we're pretty much done with our learning the software. Right now, I want to talk about graphic design in its entirety and talk about the methods behind it, because that's important for you to understand. All right, so we're talking about graphic design, and what is it? Well, basically, it refers to a successful design solutions that stimulate viewers intellectually and move them emotionally by including both familiar and surprising elements. So, graphic design is more or less giving attention to or professionalism to particular products, ideas, or opinions. And here it's like what we're dealing with is this successful like design solutions that promote a brand or a product. So now there are certain elements of design like lines and shapes. Type of line and shape an object is like texture, surface quality like rust, velvet, or sandpaper, tactile textures and visual textures. All right, help to bring attention to certain things. There are elements of design, which are the value, depth, and dimension by the range of lightness or darkness of an element. All right, value. There's depth perception, the depth and dimension by the range of lightness or darkness of an element. So you may have learned in like art class that there is this 1, 2, or 3 point perspective. Those are to help give you some kind of dimension or depth to any kind of design. So like here we have 1, 2, 3 point perspective. Where you're seeing here, this is considered a 2 point perspective, where you've got 2 points where everything kind of converges to that particular point. We also have color, which, yeah. We've got a color wheel, which deals with all the primary, tertiary, secondary elements here, where we're dealing with color. There are design principles which are dealing with balance, arrange elements into an area so that these elements promote a harmonious response, which are symmetry and asymmetry, where things are lined up from the center on. There's negative and positive spaces. They arrange elements within an area so that these elements promote a harmonious response. As you see from a couple of these here, you kind of look at, are there things here that you kind of see? Like off to the left, you may see like a cartoon guy playing a trumpet. But over on the right, you may see two dogs with the Space Needle in between them. So it really, whatever you see first becomes what is called a figure. Whatever you see second is considered the ground. So if you look at the man with the trumpet, that becomes the figure, and the white around it becomes the ground. If you see the woman there, the woman becomes the figure, and the black becomes the ground in this particular case. Design communication explains logical to the emotional. A design should pique somebody's emotional response when you're dealing with any kind of design. And there are different types of design that we're dealing with. There's corporate designs, which are corporations need to project a consistent visual identity, one that brands a corporation in the minds and hearts of the general public, like Target or UPS or Nike or whatever you're dealing with has to have some kind of professionalism to it. So like here we have this identity of this company, has that green, has certain font sizes, certain colors that are being used. That all stays consistent. If they were all different colors, then it wouldn't stay consistent with what we have going on here. Same thing here. We've got this consistent color palette going on. We have the certain typefaces, the logos being used in a certain way. That represents this particular company. Same thing here. All right? Everything has a unifying and defining manner. All right, imagine if Target started putting out ads that are like green, blue, brown, all those different things instead of the red. You would not think it was a Target ad for some reason. There's environmental designs, which are a three-dimensional experience to the viewer. A lot of times when you're walking in downtown city, you may notice that there are these environmental graphics or these walls put up. In particular here, you kind of see that there is like a hallway that may look blah. They add some graphics in there that kind of like add some interest to it. Or here you're walking down a city block and they may be doing construction, which is really ugly on one side, but they put up graphics to kind of like show you, hey, what's coming soon? And it looks pleasing to the eye as you're walking by it. Some more examples of environmental graphics that are being used here. Motion designs. Dealing with sports do this all the time. Sports at the beginning, they want to make everything a little flashy and three-dimensional and stuff like that. They get to be really, really mechanical. That is all motion graphics. A lot of the a lot of movies use these visual effects or 3D renditions of certain characters. Like most of the Marvel movies use that, like these graphics to actually bring your attention into the movie. But logo movement, other types of designs are being utilized. There's interaction design, which is the designer's user experience with a device. Whether it's a phone, whether it's a website, whether it's anything else that has some kind of interaction, is where the designer comes in to figure out a way of interacting with that particular device. So a lot of times if you've downloaded an app on your phone and you're like, trying to use it, but for some reason it's just not doing what you want it to do. That means that basically that interaction has failed. The designer has not designed it very well, or other items. But the user experience is a part of it that needs to be designed well. You see that. Also, Disney is really good at creating these like floors that become interactive for the kids. There's type design. Some people actually get paid to create fonts, the creation of letter forms and fonts. So designing fonts to look aesthetically pleasing or different than what they were originally put out for is there. So here's some interesting ones. There's publication designs, magazines, newspapers, newsletters, catalogs, whatever. There's multi-page documents that you have to lay out. For a long time, there was a JCPenney catalog, which was about 2 or 3 inches thick. Imagine working on that every year. Not exactly that great. But oftentimes, the designer really looks forward to what is called an annual report. Sometimes these annual reports have boring information, and they usually want to go all out to make it interesting for the stockholder, or the investor. So it's like basically it can show like all this boring information, but it may make it aesthetically pleasing. Or magazines have articles that usually start at the article with a big picture, very little copy on that page to entice you to want to read more. There's book designs, book publishing, and cover designs, all right? Here it's like, taking art history and kind of like making it look nice, look aesthetically pleasing. Or book covers to look great and entice the eye on the bookshelf. There's branding and identity design, a unique brand that is ingrained into the audience, all right? That brand that's being utilized, all right? A lot of branding out there actually becomes more second nature. So as a sample is like, what if you're in the street and you're taking your dog for a walk, and about half a mile down the road you see a brown truck that's stopped in front of the door. A guy with a brown outfit gets out and takes up a box to your door. What's the immediate thing that you would think it was? More than likely UPS, because they used to have a tagline that said, "What can Brown do for you?" Well, that brown is being utilized in many different manners. And if UPS decided, oh, we're going to change our things to blue, you would think, oh, that's not UPS. So is there a new company around? All right. The worst thing that UPS could do is change the color from brown to something else. All right. So that's why we have that. Or in some cases, branding becomes a part of our second nature. So it's like when you're talking about certain things, it's like you get a cold and you want to blow your nose, you say, hey, can you please pass me a tissue? Or a lot of times what people would say is Kleenex. Because Kleenex has been branded in people's mind to look at that. There's package designs, which are a three-dimensional unit to hold or present to a customer. Make things aesthetically pleasing to bring attention to that. As you can see here, it's the same packaging, same company, but they look a little bit different, but they're laid out the same. Something a little different. There's advertising design, which is the designer developing within advertising media to produce a message or sell product. A lot of times graphic designers are hired to actually try and sell a message or product. And that's where we have things like trade publication ads to sell a particular product. Like that. Where this is actually one of my favorites, because what this one does is it sells Audi as saying, hey, this car is fast. It's almost as fast as the speed of light. So it's like saying, all right, here it's faster than the speed of light. As you know, it's impossible to do that. But they were having some fun with this ad to just basically show you, hey, the car is faster than the light that it produces. All right. All right, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to talk about a different video at a later time. So other than that, I will talk to you guys in the next video.